So welcome back to another video of our Dunwoody Dialogues. We are produced by Discover Dunwoody. What's the whole goal here? Our mission is to bring people to you that can teach you something new. Maybe let you learn about something that's happening in Dunwoody, or hear about new things that are coming in and out of our region. So be sure to go back and check all those other great interviews. They're right below us. We do have I think on YouTube, there's a playlist. So check out the playlist, and I think you'll find some really great people out there. I am Mark Galvin, your host, and I'm so glad you are with us. So you know that we are very interested in the creative economy, otherwise known in our area as the film and entertainment industry. Today's guests have found that this industry has some challenges. Let's find out what those are. I'd like for you to welcome Tara Nichols, who is the founder of the Nichols Center. Tara, welcome.
Thank you.
And you've brought this guy with you that we know really well here at Discover Dunwoody. This is Lishers, and I have to look at your title because I was going to call you the wrong thing. You're a mental health coach with Onset Mental Health, which the two of you are collaborating with each other on Onset Mental Health through the Nichols Center. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So I got to tell you a little bit about each of these folks before we dig into this. So Tara, you're a licensed professional counselor and certified professional counselor supervisor. That's a lot to say that you know a little bit about mental health.
Yes.
You're also interested in supporting families that are affected by mental health and substance use disorders in the community. You developed an innovative program called the Authentic Woman Curriculum. That sounds like that's probably its own show by itself. And this is interesting. She leads NAMI, which stands for the National Alliance on Mental Health Illness in Douglas County.
Yes.
In the county. And she's the affiliate president. And you're also, sounds like you have some kids involved in sports, something tells me.
I do.
So the bio said that she is a baseball mom. What does that mean?
So I run our local rec baseball and softball program at our local park at Lithia Springs.
Wait a minute, you run it?
Yes. So I do nonprofit work very well, and running a park is a lot of nonprofit work. So getting
Wow.
all the kids their bats and gloves and playtime.
So my son, who I shall not say his age because it'll make me look older, he was involved in soccer.
Yeah.
And we were the team parents, my wife and I, for a couple of years. So that's a lot of work. Running a rec program probably absorb a little bit of time. And so if you need any help with mental health managing that, I know somebody you can come see.
Great.
So, Lishers, let's talk about you. You and I met each other when you were with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Mm-hmm. And so Lishers has been very involved in the entertainment industry. You were in that space for some 16 years. You did 24 years of work in transportation together. And you started the entertainment arm, if you will, with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Something tells me there's a few people coming into town in the film and entertainment industry that needs a car.
Absolutely.
So did they rent Toyota Corollas?
That and so much more.
Really? So you didn't have people coming in saying, I need the Mac Daddy Maserati. Could you do that?
Oh, we could.
Oh,
absolutely.
Wow. Okay. And then you rented the regular run-of-the-mill car. So you did it all.
Yeah. One-stop shop.
That is awesome. Now you continue to be involved in the film industry and the many organizations in that space. But Lishers isn't here today to talk about Enterprise. What has happened is he and Tara met each other and started talking about mental health in the film industry. So I always love to ask this question, and Tara, I want to throw it to you. Tell me a little bit more of what what Onset Mental Health does, and why are you doing it?
Wow. So I started in nonprofit work about 11 years ago. My family had suffered the loss of my youngest brother-in-law to an accidental drug overdose. And as you can imagine, that left a great hole in our hearts. And we didn't really know how to heal from that. And so we started the nonprofit in order to find ways to help other families that were suffering with similar, situations. And through helping them, maybe we could find a way to help ourselves. And I didn't really know a lot about nonprofit work. They make you take a class in your bachelor's degree that says, hey, he could do this. And I really struggled with that class, so I didn't think I'd be successful. But by showing up every day and by taking one family at a time, we learned, really some steps that families could take to find healing. And that led me down many paths in my own community. And I do a lot of trauma work. I have my master's, like you said, in mental health counseling. And so I work with our fire department. I work with our 911 center. I teach a lot about how to set up mental health practices within industries and within organizations that can really benefit people and not wait till there is a situation like we were suffering, to be proactive in your mental health. And then I met Lishers a few months ago, and we started talking about the growing film industry and how there doesn't seem to be that same level of proactive response to mental health, that, we almost wait until someone dies before we take notice that they were suffering in the first place. And that just doesn't seem to be the human thing to do. If you could take time to be there for that person, wouldn't you want to? And so that brought us to a series of conversations, and we've developed this plan called Onset Mental Health. And the plan is to begin, taking that proactive step and working with studios that care about their staff and their production teams and their crew and creating a culture within the environment that allows them to take that time to, begin healing before there's a problem, before there's a crisis.
So this is so interesting because you're talking about proactive approach, and I'm actually thinking of just general health care, right?
Right.
You go in for preventative care, and that always seems to be covered by your insurance. Leaning forward into mental health and stepping into spaces, if you will, that seem conducive to stressful environments seems like a great place. And I don't think there's anybody with any illusions working on a film set can be somewhat stressful. Lishers, you found this interesting. Why did you get involved in this? Why? Because this is, I'll be honest, you worked with Enterprise, you're in the film space, and then to jump into mental health, that's not a natural progression. What made you want to do this?
That is a great question, Mark. The reason why is because it actually went hand in hand. Because I was bringing vehicles out to some of these customers, I got a chance to be kind of a fly on the wall. And what you got the chance to see is how the production was interacting on a day-to-day basis. It's almost like seeing the film after it's done. We see all of that, but what does it take to get to that point? And there was a lot of suffering in silence. There was a lot of abuse that was happening, mental, alcohol or substance abuse. And those things were happening on a grand scale, and especially since the pandemic started.
We all hear about this in the film and entertainment space. Famous people who end up just actually dying from some sort of substance, something. So this is what you're saying is you saw this as it's common not just with those famous names. It's the people that are working the sets are going through those same types of stresses.
Absolutely. I mean, the work to get a project done and the speed that they move at and how things change on an everyday basis, you never know what to expect. You can have the schedule set and then it rains and then we have to change, or we need to change from, we're doing nights to days. The hours are long. They have sayings like hurry up and wait. So there might be a lot of waiting process.
Right.
And then it's, okay, now we have a budget. And now we have to meet the budget. So, okay, now we have to go quicker, or we need to work on weekends to get it done before this time period. So there's a lot of things that go into that process, and it's just a lot of stress on you.
So how can you guys bridge the gap and making mental health more accessible to these folks? What does that look like?
So the plan to be in partnership with the studios and the production companies that allow us to actually provide both active and passive access to mental health support, right? So my nonprofit, the Nichols Center, we're a state prevention provider. And what that means is that we can go into different spaces and create preventative access to care. And that might be, information dissemination, that might be cards or, signs or even T-shirts. We created these lovely pins. Lishers has his that I have 8 minutes pins. That's a campaign we're running right now that says, it statistically only takes 8 minutes to help someone through a difficult time. And if you knew someone you cared about needed you, would you not give 8 minutes?
So can we talk about that?
Sure.
Because I think that's really interesting. So statistically, 8 minutes means I could help. What do I do in that 8 minutes to help? What is it? What's a tangible thing that I could do?
Well, being there for someone doesn't require a lot of doing. Sometimes you just have to listen. You have to be available.
So I'm in a stressful environment.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things that you're saying is having the wherewithal to say, all right, Lishers looks like he's having a bad day. Taking 8 minutes to say, hey, Lishers, are you good? Is
Yes.
that what you're talking about?
And not just are you good, but how's your mental health? You noticing some of the conditions that people might be in. There was a great report by the Looking Glass that said that the film industry has struggles with conditions, culture, and capability, right? So the conditions people are in when they're trying to create these beautiful stories that we get to enjoy, what conditions is that work environment? It's just the same process with like the fire department and the trauma work that we do, right? What are the conditions of the people you care about? The same with the people in your home. If you know somebody in your home is going through a difficult, stressful time and you know that their conditions are not conducive for health, right? Mental health, then stopping and saying, hey, what are the conditions you're in? What is the culture that you're promoting within your work environment, within your studio, within your fire department, within your own family? Do you have a culture that supports staying connected and caring about one another? And then what is your capability, right? How can you increase your capacity to really access care? How can you take time? And that's why with the Onset Mental Health, our mantra is to take those 8 minutes that you need and ask those questions.
This sounds like it'd be easy. And it sounds like something that we should do automatically, right? It does. It sounds like a very human thing. What keeps people from just asking people how are they doing? What is
So
the
that
problem?
goes to the 3 C's that Tara just mentioned. So if you look at conditions, the conditions aren't set up for success for that.
Oh, okay.
So when you're in that industry where almost everyone that works there is freelance, including the directors and even the actors, it's hard to say, hey, I have time to take 8. And when you can't take 8, then what's the next step?
So ultimately, you and I are working in a stressful environment. I don't even have the mental wherewithal to recognize, because I've got to get my job done, because how I perform could impact whether I get the next job.
And then that goes back to culture. So then if you even pass that step, if you go to the culture, there's a stigma behind mental health and the effect of mental health.
Yeah.
You're here to do a job. You're supposed to be here. You get paid to do this job. You get paid well for a lot of the folks that are here. And that's why you can see people that are in the industry in horrible health physically as well as mentally. And they're still doing the job because it's hard to let it go. But their mental state is one of the last things that they look at. They're like, oh, well, I'm doing it. I can see the finish line. I can see the finance come in. But mentally, I can't physically do anything in a healthy manner. So even my celebration is outlandish, where I'm going to celebrate with alcohol and drug abuse or what have you.
Got it.
But it's really a cry for help.
Yeah.
And that's where the 8 minutes comes into play. And then the last part of it is the capacity, the capability to be able to work throughout this process and even be able to reach out. And some of the statistics that come out, it's like we don't feel safe to come and bring that issue to HR or management because, again, that goes back to your job availability and your opportunity to get your next job. You're only as good as your next job. So you just kind of in silence struggle with that.
Wow. Okay, so we've identified the 8, why 8, that, well, let me rephrase it. We've identified that providing the 8 minutes and asking the right questions is good. What's the result, right? What happens when when somebody who's in need has somebody ask them what's going on and takes 8 minutes for them?
Well, I think you have to ask yourself what your goal is,
Okay.
right? And why you would take those moments. What is it you value in that time? And if your goal is to prevent loss of life, which is really, I think, our goal here, and we read all these stories of incredible people that we admire in film or in entertainment or even just workspaces, and then we see what it's like when we lose those individuals, right? And Robin Williams and
What a loss.
There's
right.
so many. There's so many to begin naming.
So really reaching in, you're putting them in this is such a, almost, if you will, a high bar, so to speak, but you could be saving lives by taking 8 minutes and asking someone, hey, how's your mental health? Are you taking care of yourself?
But then also you have to think of the collective suffering, right? So, we all experience stress. We all experience, we have our own, goals and ambitions and lives that we're trying to work towards some form of success for ourselves and whatever it is that we've decided, we want to have keep our family together or put our kids in a good school or whatever our goal is, right?
I went through that 100%.
And then we enter the workforce and everybody else's suffering kind of ekes out on us, and then we're collectively in stress with everyone else's suffering at the same time. And we say it's normal and we say it's okay, and so you ask people, how are you, and they're like, oh, I'm okay, and but how are you really, and taking that time, it's to lessen the suffering, to allow the small cracks in our day, the small windows of time to just reset and to remember that we don't have to create connection in suffering. We can create connection in hope. We can create connection in our values, our shared values. We can create connection and just being humans together. And reminding people that the projects are big and productions are amazing and the work that we do is very important, but so are you.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's why the pens are so important, because when we wear these pens, it's more than just saying we have a pen or saying I have 8 minutes. It's saying that I'm making a commitment to anyone that comes to me and has a mental issue, and I can help you through it. Even as a coach, I can do that. It's just doing things like, hey, I'm thinking about suicide, and knowing like, hey, let me get you some help. Let me tell you about 988, walk you through the process of who to call. Let me stand with you until we can get that help for you and be an advocate for helping you. It's just being a good human. And no one has to be licensed to be a good human. It's just about being prepared and being one of those people that is available at the time that somebody needs something. So I wear it with honor because I want someone to ask me about that. I've had an opportunity to ask people about, hey, you asked me the question about what are you doing now? When I bring up mental health, people vomit on me because they feel like just by me telling them that they're in a safe space. Any other conversation, it would be what Tara brought up before. I'm fine. Everything's going great.
Right.
Nothing to talk about. But when they feel like that's what you do and that's something that you're passionate about, it's a different conversation.
And it's got to be a journey, right?
Absolutely.
I'm thinking that this isn't all right, I'm going to take 8 minutes and I'm going to talk to you because, it appears to me that you need somebody to talk to, but it's not just once. I'm guessing that for real mental health, this is something frequent. Actually, it's got to be every day.
Right.
Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, how often do you think about your physical health? Do you take time every day for that?
I try to.
But eating good food, drinking water, and
Right.
Going to the
going for a
gym.
walk, going
Yeah,
to a gym,
yeah.
and these are all things that we do for our physical well-being. Well, your mental health is brain health. You have an organ similar to your heart, your liver, your kidneys. It's called your brain, and it's the same things that you do that allow your brain to operate on in optimal conditions. I like to compare it to car maintenance. I mean, you might be driving with, your check engine light on, but that's not smart to do for very long. So if you have that check engine light for your mental health, you should talk to someone. At least create an environment within your industry that allows you to have that conversation openly within the office that says, hey, it would matter if you didn't show up tomorrow. We want you to be here. I mean, the statistics are 55% of people working in the film industry contemplate suicide. Could you imagine 55% of our industry being lost, of our storytellers just being lost?
That's unbelievable. Just the fact that there's 55% of them that are contemplating that. That's a scary statistic.
And here in Georgia, in our community, I mean, the film industry is a huge part of our community. It's a huge part of the culture and the diversity and new ideas coming to our neighborhoods. And we should want those individuals to be healthy and to connect with us and to develop those relationships with us and access the resources we have here, the nonprofit work and the services that we have. We should welcome those individuals in and allow them to put roots down here too.
So I love that. We've talked about a couple of things, and I'd love to kind of slice through and look at specific things like the campaign of the Take 8 Minutes. What are some of the other tangible things that a studio or a production company, or name all the different organizations that are out there, what is it that they could do to start address this, to lower that 55% to a much more manageable number, if not zero?
That's a great question. So it's acknowledging it. Anybody that's had a problem or something that's happened, it's just acknowledging. Even if you got a diagnosis of cancer or something like that. Hey,
So let me ask you this. An acknowledgement means the organization says we acknowledge Lishers has a problem, or we acknowledge that this is a problem. How does that?
culturally, we
Okay.
realize that this is a challenge or an issue.
Got it. Okay.
And then when we find that out, because if it's one individual, it's a one-off.
Right.
It's a HR issue. It's a you issue. I can replace you and get somebody else, because again, back to freelance, and you're only as good as your last gig. But when we make it a cultural issue, then that means the change is there.
Right.
You can't say that you didn't know. So at that point, then you can start the process about educating, finding out what the needs are, finding out where there is a issue, and then we can bring in the educational part of it and materials and training, and that's important. And then if you need additional resources, we can bring those in. But it's a process where it needs education and training. We need materials to be able to leave. Something like the boxes that we bring in, just so it's something that you can see and tangible.
Sure.
We want
Explain what
to
that box is, because you showed it to me, but our viewers haven't seen it.
The box has to do with, hey, there's basically a goodie box. Anybody loves to have a goodie box, and most of it's like candy and treats or something else.
Candy,
But
is candy good for your mental health?
well, for
Mental health.
it depends on where you are mentally at the point in time.
Because I think it is. I'm just saying.
I think so too. Too much of it, then that might be a challenge
Well
or
put.
issue. But it opens up for information, because it's just like any draw. Think of it as your kids. Kids are going to be drawn to food or a snack or something like that, and then you dig in and see what else is there.
Good.
And then there's pens, there's Take 8, and I have 8 minute stickers, and then there's information about what do I do when I'm stressed out or burnt out. What do I do if I'm abusing a drug or alcoholism? What are the next steps?
Sure.
Who do I call if I'm having an issue? Things that we know of, and as leaders and advocates in this business, is that we want to be able to have 3 friends. We always tell somebody you need to have 3 friends to call, to contact, because 2 people are probably not going to be available, or I'll call you back or give you a text. But knowing when someone is reaching out to you and what that means, for us, if you don't understand that somebody calling you that you haven't talked to for a while, hey, can we grab a coffee or a drink? that might mean somebody's in a crisis.
Right.
And you just need to know the difference between that and be able to say, hey, I'm going to take a minute to at least acknowledge you, say that you matter, again, back to the you matter, and then taking it to the next step.
There is, ironically, in some way, we had an interview, our last interview, as a matter of fact, with someone who was talking about when the happiest retirees are ones that have 3 or more friends outside of their spouse. And so here, and I just think it's ironic, you're talking about 3 friends and how important it is to have those friends. Another thought that comes to mind is that it behooves the studios and the production and the folks that are investing in these productions to have good mental health, because 2 things. Number 1, people are going to work better. They're going to be better at their job if they are in a mental good spot. And secondly, it's going to hit the bottom line. And as much as it hurts to say it this way, keeping people on the production happy, productive, will help meet bottom line numbers. So if I have to take a little extra time to help with mental health, I think it pays off in the end.
Yes.
Is my thought. Is there data that goes with that, or have you experienced a similar thing?
Well, the industry, the film industry, is waking up to this concepts of mental health, and there's a lot of studies out there that are just now coming out from 2019 and even beyond. I do think that with the recent strikes in the film industry, that we're going to have even a second wave or a third wave of crisis that hasn't fully been realized.
Wow.
Right? So, you know, the idea that when you care about someone, it actually improves their happiness and their ability to work and to be a better employee and a better service in whatever project you're on. I mean, that's long-stand research and studied. But within the industry itself, that's still very new, right? So we know that there's a problem. We know that conditions are hard and that the culture has not historically been open, and that the capacity or the capability that these production teams have to create access is not always the first on their list, right? It's not that they don't care.
Right.
It's that how can they do this within budget, pull in people from all over the world to collaborate on a project, and then to do this within a time frame with these conditions. I mean, if they could have done it better, I think by now they would have.
Right.
What we're offering is a different way of thinking about mental health. A lot of times we think that individuals have to be plucked out of their existence and sent off to a mental institution to receive some high clinical dose of treatment. And the reality is that accessing mental health care should not be that complex. You should be able to, through passive and active forms of communication, create places and safe spaces and points for people to engage in their mental health journey. I mean, this is going to sound like a ridiculous idea, but if you just put some information in a bathroom, where do people go when they have a mental health breakdown? They go to the bathroom.
Yeah, close the door.
They close the door. They cry their eyes out. They wash their face. Well, if you looked down and saw 988 access right there, list to appropriate mental health, therapists right there, support groups right there, wouldn't that be the perfect place to put that information?
Sure.
And so we're not saying that productions need to, stop everything and everybody have a kumbaya moment. All we're saying is to think a little smarter about accessing mental health on your set. And we can help with that. We can come in, we can do a gap analysis of your production. We can look at the content of what it is that you're trying to create, the story you're trying to create, and help you create access points for people on your team so that they can work better and be happier.
Great. Yeah, this is so good. Well, we got to wrap. And I told them when we started the taping, I'm probably going to go long because I think this is very interesting and it's very important. So I'm going to ask you a question that I didn't think of before, and that is, if somebody's watching and they need help, right? And they're in the bathroom, so to speak,
right,
and they're in that spot, where can that one person go to get help right now?
If you are in crisis right now, the place to go is to pick up your phone and dial 988. 988 is the Georgia crisis number, and a mental health clinician and peer support specialist would be available to you. That behavioral access link, they can talk you through whatever support you need. And you just need to let them know where you're calling from. If you're in the state of Georgia, you need to say, I'm in the state of Georgia. Because a lot of times, if you're calling from an out-of-state number, that can get a little hairy. So 988, that's the place to go.
Perfect. All right, so that's great. And if you need help, I'm going to tell you right now, pick up the phone, call for that help. Now, the other side is, if someone wants more information on what you guys are doing, where can they get it?
They can go to our website at www.nichols.org. All the information about our different projects that we're doing is available. And then also you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Nichols Center is out there.
Perfect. So all that information we're going to put in the show notes, but it's nicholscenter.org. And you said that so fast, I'm starting to wonder if you're really Southern, right? But it's Nichols Center, NICHOLSCENTER.org.
Yes.
And you get all the information there. That is so great. And I love what you're doing. It's great to see you, Lishers. I love that you're doing this work. Tara, I'm impressed, right? This is a journey for you as well. This is a space that people need your help, and you've got to get the word out. And that's why we're talking to them. We want to help them get the word out that any of the organizations that's involved in the creative economy could use this type of help. And I am hoping that this ends up blowing up and you guys end up getting lots of people who want your help, that you've got to go out and get a lot more folks to work for you, because this is a space people need. This is we are becoming more aware, and this is an industry that needs someone leaning in. And we love that both of you guys are leaning in. So thank you so much. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
And for all of you, thanks for watching. Today was a little more serious conversation than what you've seen in the past, and we love that you're here. Love for you to share this with anyone out there. And you know what? It just makes me think about this. If you're not in the industry and you realize, gosh, I could probably use some help, make sure you go and ask for help. If you're not in the film and entertainment industry, can they call 988
yes,
also?
Absolutely.
Wow. So that's good for anybody, anywhere. So if you need help, be sure to go get it. Once again, thank you for watching this show. Well, this show is produced by Discover Dunwoody. We love that you're watching. The show's produced by Madison Holtz. The sound is, drum roll please, the first time I'm ever going to say this, the sound is taken care of by Emily Inser Allen. Yes, Emily finally got married. We've been waiting for that to happen. She's been talking about all this time. So congratulations to you, Emily. We're so happy for you and Christopher. Now, for all of you watching, we want you to go out and get your Dunwoody sticker. We love promoting this. The Dunwoody sticker is everywhere in Dunwoody. Go to the library, go to City Hall, go to NFA Burger, or if you would like some Dunwoody stickers at your business, let us know. We'd love to get them to you and let you hand them out for free. They are absolutely free. Once again, thanks for watching. We'd love for you to go check out our website, discoverdunwoody.com. We've got lots of good information there for you. Or check out our social media. Discover Dunwoody is our handle everywhere. Tara, Lishers, I did that backwards. My sheet is Tara first. I wanted to start with Lishers. Lishers, Tara, thanks for being here. So great to spend time with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thanks to all of you for watching. Now, go out and discover Dunwoody.